Hi, beautiful people. This is just an impromptu video, basically, of how I deal with my triggers. I'm becoming more and more visible, more and more vulnerable, and more authentic in my true self. And this, the more I can do this, the more my ability to share, to resonate with other people and to help other people create balance, harmony, healing in their life. This is my aim, right? I am a life coach, a holistic life coach, but I'm a specialist in helping people overcome mind-body syndrome. I did it myself, healing 18 different symptoms of chronic pain and diseases like rheumatoid arthritis, early onset, and fibromyalgia. So, I'm here to share. There's an epidemic of mind-body syndrome worldwide, and unfortunately I'm trying to create awareness about it. So today I'm just going to explain to you where I was and how these mini power habits that I have been sharing with you over these days and over these times, you see my videos about building a system for change so that you can actually bring in the habits that support thriving rather than the habits that support just survival. And this, you can't have the one, or you can't have both. You can you're either in survival mode or you're in thrive mode. So the more that we can take responsibility for this and start to create our physical, mental, and emotional habits that create thriving in a sense of safety and therefore the body can start to thrive. It can start to connect to intuition. It can start to connect to the bigger mind, the whole. It can be much more able to be more in a kind of harmonious state rather than this fight, flight, freeze response. Okay, so I'm just going to share with you something that happened today. This is my check-in diary. I think I shared with you yesterday about the power of gratitude, and the previous time about the power of forgiveness. So I'm going to just share with you a little bit today because I had a trigger from my daughter this morning. I have a 6-year-old and she has a sensory disorder. Anyway, she just doesn't like clothes very much. And we've been going through this process of how to overcome this. And we now have got to the problem, got to socks. The socks still are a problem. The rest are okay right now. Let's see. So socks are always, she hates, seams, basically. She can't stand seams. And we didn't have any socks that didn't have any seams. So I could feel my body getting more and more frustrated with this. And then I eventually popped. I was unable to keep my calm. I shouted. I got annoyed. We were already late for school. She was faffing around, we had 3 different socks and she didn't have want any of them, blah, blah, blah. So I felt my body going into anger. I could feel my jaw. So my jaw clench. So now I know that's my signal that I'm getting angry. So I told her I'm starting to get angry now. So I'm a conscious mother, but of course I lose the plot sometimes, right? Like all of us do. The point is I'm trying to get to is that I started to feel a sense of shame. And since I've been doing a lot of the concept of shame, that it's disconnection, feeling a disconnection from our ultimately from one. It's all emotions are showing us, are the internal guidance system showing us back to our beliefs that we are limited by, and so we can, because we are basically ran by our beliefs, we can overcome those beliefs. And I'm just going to show you in action how it happens, like how you can actually start to create this sense of safety in your body by taking each trigger and actually being able to take the wisdom from that trigger, just as I explain in my videos about the wisdom of pain. The wisdom of triggers is a similar concept, right? So I was triggered, right? So I acknowledged it. I told her I'm feeling right now, 5 out of 10 angry. I was about 4 or 5 out of 10 angry. So validate and calibrate is what I do. I'm also showing and modeling to my daughter that her emotions and my emotions are okay, that it's safe to have them, right? Then I got to about a 6 or a 7 out of 10, and I got down onto the floor, onto the level of her level, and I just held her and said, "This is not working for me," right? So I was really getting angry, and I could, I get angry. I could tell I was getting angry, and losing my shit. Right? So I took a couple of deep breaths. I managed to ground myself. I felt the connection to the ground. I took a couple of minutes, and then I said, "I'm sorry," right? She then got angry with me, which is completely okay and normal. So I said, "Yes, okay, I understand that you're getting angry with me." And we solved the problem and we left, right? But I felt a sense of ongoing shame. So I came back. When I came back, I returned and did my gratitude or forgiveness diary, and I was able to release that shame, right? So how did I release the shame? So I basically got through the point of got to the point where I started to ask, so what was this trying to explain to me? What was this coming up? What were the beliefs behind this, right? So I thanked my anger. First of all, I thanked it and let it go, right? So thanked it for reminding me that I had lost connection. Remember, anger is a deep belief that we've lost connection, that we want a certain outcome, right? So I wanted to get to school, and I wanted her to get her socks on, and that was the outcome dependency that I was holding on to, clutching onto, and I had a belief that I can't be happy and at peace without this. So I thanked that for reminding me that my thinking was wrong. My thinking was incorrect in the sense that I'm not disconnected from self or others or her, right? So I thanked it, and I took the message. I connected to myself again, and I connected with her, right? So I'm cleaning up the mess that I made. And I will do that further tonight when she gets back from school, which I'm about to come pick her up from school now. I felt into the sadness. I had a sadness part as well. So I felt into the sadness for being aggressive towards her and, angry. So I reminded myself that I am truly connected, that I'm connected to self and others, and that I didn't have to. So a sadness is the feeling of disconnection from self and others and the whole, right? So I thanked the sadness, and then guilt and shame came up. So can you see that those were kind of like the levels of emotions that were coming up, around this subject. So I gave every piece of that emotion, every cocktail of those emotions to kind of come out and say what they wanted to say. And then I thanked them, and I got to the core belief of those. So the shame was basically, I'm a bad mum, right? The shame was, and I'm reminding you that the more we share our shame, shine the light on the shame, of the light of consciousness on the shame, it can't live in the it can't live anymore. It doesn't. It lives with being in darkness, right? So the more we can say it to ourselves, but also to others, right, as a testimony to ourselves. So I was believing that I'm a bad mum. The shame is the fear that I will be outcast. Do you remember that it's actually the shame is under the umbrella of fear emotion, because we're fearing the worst case scenario that we'll be outcast, basically. And so I'm believing that I'm a bad mum. I will always be angry, or I will always have these anger tantrums coming up. So I thanked it and reminded myself of my values, my innate and my integrity myself, that I want to be a caring, loving mum. And I thanked myself and forgave myself for having this wobble, right? So I am worthy of. Shame is believing that you're not worthy of that you are a bad person or a bad mum or not enough or whatever it is. So it's innately, you're innately bad or innately not enough, which is obviously not true. So the shame came up to remind me that I was out of integrity with being a good mum, and, you know, opportunity for me to release that shame. And I tell it to myself daily that I'm no longer, because I told you that this shame and these deep feelings of awareness are actually, we're addicted to them. So we're addicted to the fix of those, because it's comfortable. We've been doing it for so many years, right? And so the amount of shame that we have to release and let go of is deeply is a lot, and it's, you know, it's very deep. So it's kind of like taking pulling back the layers of shame. And again, I'm doing this on video as a live. I'm going to post it live, so that I can show you how I go through my triggers, inviting them, thanking them, inviting the parts of the emotions that are coming up, taking ownership for them, responsible for them. These are all my emotions and nothing to do with the other person. You know, what are the deep beliefs, the core beliefs behind those, right? So I'm also restated my commitment to myself. I choose to not shame myself anymore. I choose to live in connection, right, with myself, and take all of these triggers as an opportunity to grow and release and heal the past wounds, right? So, and then I went into what's called a tat pose. I will explain that to you actually tomorrow. I'm going to be doing a live Facebook. So come and join me with Mastering Your Emotions. It's a very, very interesting pose, a kind of trigger point. So I can help you with triggers and we can release them. And it helps very much with that. So I was able to release the shame. And this is all kind of very quickly. I mean, it took me 10, 15 minutes to write this down. Thank my trigger. I thanked my awareness and my growth. And something else that I was very, you know, so then I was able to, so normally, what I used to do was what we all do again in the shame is to kind of throw the bucket, you know, throw the ball somewhere else. We feel the shame. We try to avoid feeling the shame. And so we blame and complain. So I was really aware of that. And I suddenly was about to call my ex partner, who we've consciously separated from, well, you know, the father of my daughter. And I don't like the word ex, where, you know, my previous partner, because he's still very much in my life and we just consciously chose not to be with each other anymore. But so I was very, very aware that I wanted to phone him and complain and blame him for whatever, you know, that she was tired, you know, from the weekend with him and blah, blah, blah. And so I suddenly remembered, you know, my, you know, shaming and wanting to blame to avoid. So I realized that I had some work to do and clear. So I thanked myself for that and acknowledged myself for that and forgave myself for that also. All of this being tied in with deep gratitude, deep you know, sense of worthiness and pride, like being proud of my growth, right? Acknowledging the growth, the mini wins, acknowledging the mini wins, all the things that I've been talking about, because we need to have that boost of I'm doing it, I'm getting there, I'm getting, you know, I'm growing and developing as my ultimate highest aim and value. My growth is my highest value that I live by. So I was able to let go of that as well. And so the also, I'm talking about gratitude can be just a tiny little bow of gratitude. You can just literally thank the trigger, even though it's been, you know, it was difficult trigger, or you know, it was a difficult time or a difficult situation, or your body, you know, is telling you lots of things, you have lots of pain. You don't have to get to thank you pain, you know, you can just have a tiny little moment of gratitude for that trigger or for that situation, and be grateful for learning from it, from reminding you of, you know, the wisdom, getting the wisdom from it, right? So that is just, can you see the difference, the physiological difference in my body between being shamed and frustrated and angry and blaming and all these things that I would have done normally, right? You know, without all these tools that I have now, and being able to you know, be in my authentic self and say that I fell off, I you know, broke my trust with my daughter for that moment. I, you know, got angry with her, I broke my connection with her, and yet I'm going to own it, be responsible for it, be, you know, and this is the part of this is the journey, right? So then I was able to be connected to myself. The level, like I said, I wasn't in shame and blame anymore, which is a very, very low vibration. I was in the vibration of gratitude. I was in the vibration of thankful, you know, being thankful to myself for making these steps, and in self-love, self-compassion, completely different vibration, and so physiological response in my body, right? So with that, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm being very vulnerable, very authenticity and vulnerability go hand in hand. Being authentically yourself allows more people to hopefully stand up and be their authentic selves. So this is another call to action, to be you know, every single day to grow in, you know, grow this this movement from, you know, breaking shame, the shame game to authenticity, and vulnerability is the birthplace for that. So I'll love you and leave you, and I'll see you tomorrow on my Facebook Live. Please come along. See you then.